this special edition of Island Images, TANYA Mendiola from Joint Region Marianas Public Affairs sits down with Guam historian Mr. TONI Ramirez. 2017 is the 100th birthday of the Guam flag, a symbol of strength and pride for the people of Guam. Join us as we learn about the history, inspiration, and importance of Ibandera Guahan, the Guam flag.
Hafaday, Mr. Ramirez.
Hafaday, TANYA, and Hafaday, Dr. Guam.
Thank you for joining us again. So, what makes 2017 extremely important for Guam?
2017 is a very significant date because there were so many things that happened in 1917, 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. And one of the significant events of 1917 was the creation of the Guam flag. On March 3rd of this year, when they signed the legislative resolution for Mes Tamoto, we were at the Guam legislature. This is when we gathered outside the Guam legislature, which also is celebrating their 100th anniversary because the Guam Congress was established in 1917. And so that's why I chose the Guam legislature as an official place to raise the Guam flag. Here you see the students, very beautifully done really. And this was part of the ceremony. And 3 students from the public school, from the elementary, middle to high school, with me, raised up the Guam flag at the historic building. What is a flag? What does a flag symbolize to any region of the world, any country? It is so special, it is so ingrained, it is so instilled, it is so inspiring that the flag means so much to every single nation that has a flag. The Guam flag is very illustrative. It has an oval shape, which is the atupa, the sling stone.
The sling stone,
right, okay.
Used by ancient Chamorros.
The ancient Chamorros, all right? Then you see the coconut tree, which is very, not just Guam now.
Yeah. Pacific Islands.
Pacific Islands, right? And how the coconut tree, the tree of life.
Bends, but it doesn't break.
Right, okay, it's resilient. But look how many resources we obtain from the coconut. We build our homes. We build our rooftop. Ihigai. We use the fruit for coconut milk.
For nourishment.
Coconut oil. It has such a multiple use.
And the leaves to weave items.
Yeah. And so all of that given, the coconut tree is there. But next to the coconut tree, you also have the galidi.
Yeah, the proa.
The proa, which describes who we are in the first sighting by Europeans. Imagine that, the flying proa. The Aganya River was the source of life because of the water in the pre-war days. Remember that
and water, the majority of the people in the island actually lived in
the Aganya area, and where it meets the ocean. The light blue to the dark blue.
And we're talking about the colors of the flag.
The colors of the flag, okay, is the harmony that must exist between man and nature. Not man overriding nature, but man living with nature and respect for nature. That's my understanding of that color scheme.
And then the red borders.
The red borders are the red, of course, represents blood. The sacrifices that, of course, in this case, the Chamorros in the early days sacrificed their lives to have continuity in their homeland because this is their homeland.
We assume that there are actually 3 inspirations. I mean, that's what history tells us. The first one is a photograph by Naval Governor Kuntz.
Yeah. Robert E. Kuntz, I believe is his
Kuntz.
first name. Yeah.
And then the second one is a naval spouse.
Right.
Her name is Mrs. Paul.
Right.
And then the third one is actually Chamorro. It's Mr. Francisco Fea.
Fea, yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say, is that you have to take all these different accounts together to understand the beginnings and the origin of the Guam flag.
As part of his efforts, Ramirez develops education programs to carry on the island's rich history and shares this knowledge with the local and military communities.
This year is the 100th anniversary, as we talked about the Guam flag. So I asked each student at Luis Palomo Antalan Middle School in Barragata if they could just write me one sentence, and they all did, really. And some of their responses, almost all of them, were really very touching as to what the Guam flag means to them. And I'll just read a couple of comments. The Guam flag reminds me of life. That's one of the comments. The other comment is, the Guam flag is like my best friend. It helps me believe that I could do better representing the flag.
Students' letters along with the Guam flag and a very important message will be placed in a time capsule, which will be opened 100 years from now.